Hi, hello, I'm Marina, that one girl that likes to talk a lot about houseplants, and welcome to Millennial Planter. So, we are doing two plant tours today. One, we are going to be propagating my stick of a Dieffenbachia Reflector. I know she doesn't look like much because she's quite literally just a stick. But we're going to be propagating her, but we'll talk more about that later. But the first thing we're going to be doing is making a 5-foot Melanochrysum climb support pole thing because you guys voted for it. And can we just say a quick prayer to the plant gods for me, because I don't know how this is gonna work. This pole is already like super unstable. As you can see, it's kind of like the Leaning Tower of Pisa at the moment. She's very, yeah, she's unique, that's for sure. And on top of that, she is in a plastic orchid pot. So I definitely need to get her some sort of, I'm trying to look to see if I have a bigger pot, but she's definitely gonna need like a big cash pot, probably like a terracotta pot, so I can just pop her right in, and hopefully that will support her a little bit more. But I really don't think I have a pot that big because this orchid pot is already, I think, 6 inches. So the pot would have to be like at least 8 inches, 10 inches. Oh, that's a big pot. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely stick around for this video, plant tours video. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Help propagate this community with me. I would absolutely love to have you. How do people do heart signs like this? It's so difficult. Anyways, let's get on with some plant tours. Okay, so quick rundown of this gal. I used to struggle with Melanochrysums actually, and then I got this one. She was imported from, I want to say, Indonesia. A really awesome company sent her to me actually, and she has been thriving. I think the key to Melanochrysums is getting a big one. I do have my plant room that she's in, and my plant room does stay between 50 to 70% humidity. Sometimes it goes down to the 40s. It's really inconsistent in here. I'm a Gemini. That should explain it. I'm like inconsistent with everything. So originally I had fully grown her to the top of this pole, and thankfully she was fully rooted, and I ended up putting that piece, that vine, just right back into the soil. So now there's 2 vines in here, and this is actually the newest leaf on that vine. So she hasn't gotten like too big on that top part, but the bigger part has continued to grow in size, which you can see right here. Her new leaf is a little damaged, but this is improvement because she's always put out a leaf, and then when she puts out the next one, she aborts a leaf, and then she puts out a new one, and then she grows the next one, and then that one aborts. So it's weird how she's like in this pattern of aborting a leaf and then putting out a new one. So this is like a fresh new leaf that she didn't abort, so that's really awesome. I've been really trying to keep up with like keeping her perfectly moist and consistent watering, because apparently like when they abort leaves, that could be a sign of inconsistent watering. But she's doing really amazing, sizing up really beautifully, and honestly the biggest difference with this plant also is the fact that I'm growing her on like a soil type of pole. I've had her on just moss. I've also had her on a wooden plank, and I never had any success of getting those roots to like fully climb and attach until I started to use these plastic soil poles. So this one actually has half sphagnum moss, half soil, so it's kind of like a dirty sphagnum situation, and that's just because the holes in this specific pole are like really big. So all of like the chunks that I would use, even like the big pieces of orchid bark, would come right out. So I ended up having to do like a little bit of moss, and it's been working out really well. So I asked you guys in my last plant tours video if I should cut her again and have 3 vines in here, or if I should extend her. And well, you literally all voted to extend her. So that would leave her at about 5 feet, 5 inches maybe. We're gonna measure her when this is all done, and we can all know how tall she is at the end. So here is my extension, and it's a different brand of poles, so the holes are a lot smaller, so I'll be able to put more soil and more chunks in here, because I just use straight soil from my aeroid box, from my soil box. Sometimes I do tend to make it a little bit chunkier, so it's not just straight cocoa, because the cocoa will quite literally like fall right out. But for the most part, I just use soil straight from my box. I get that question a lot. So this is the tricky part, having to actually extend her. So what I did to put these two pieces together is I actually drilled holes and I kind of like zip tied them together, because I don't really know a better way to extend these to where they're like sturdy enough, because I feel like just placing them on top of each other, they're not sturdy. But clearly the way that I'm doing it still isn't sturdy. So I don't know. We're gonna see how this works out. Also, sorry for the weird angle. This is weird to film. Okay, so I got this drill with this drill bit. I have no clue what this is. My husband just has a whole bunch of tools and I just pick what looks best. This kind of actually reminds me of like what they used to do to like put in your eye to do, what is it called? Lobotomies. I mean, does it not? Like, why is it so long? What is the point of this? Somebody let me know. What is the point of having a drill bit this long and the drill part is so small? Anyways, I felt like it would be good to use on this. And you know, we do have a soldering iron, but I have no clue how to use that and I was a little bit intimidated. So, all right, so that's what it's gonna look like. Yeah, we're just gonna wing it. I was gonna say, this is not safe at all. I do not recommend this. I do not condone this method. So we're having some slight technical difficulties. I'm just too paranoid. I'm gonna mess up this leaf even more by drilling into this top part. So I was only able to get one hole in there. So we'll see what happens. I guess when I make these poles in the future, I really need to maybe put some sort of like bamboo stake or PVC pipe in the middle, so it's more sturdy when I make them this tall. Holy crap. I finally got this zip tie through. Oh, and of course it's backwards and it doesn't want to pull up. I honestly need a shot after that. That took way too long. I don't know, honestly, if you guys can think of a better way of securing these poles, because I didn't do much research, TBH, but I feel like I've seen maybe 1 or 2 videos using these. People always use them for moss, and I feel like using it for soil is kind of like my downfall, because soil is a lot heavier than moss, and I think that's probably a lot of the reason why this is so unsturdy. I don't know, but give me some tips down below. I should probably like look up a video or something, but like, why is this part just so loose? That's what I don't understand. Maybe it's just this like specific pole that I'm using. It's just not a great design. But definitely leave some comments down below on any tips you might have to make these more secure. I think what I'm going to do also is probably when my husband gets home, have him help me with the soldering iron, because I really do need to add more zip ties here at the bottom. And I think just like zip tying the back of this area will secure it more, because that just ain't it. But now I'm just gonna zip tie a little bit more to try to make it more sturdy. I don't know. I didn't think this through all the way. I also don't want to break any leaves. That's the most nerve-wracking part. Okay, so I used the tape so I can kind of cover up this gap, because these are 2 different brands of this pole, and there was like a width difference, a difference in diameter, so it was a bit of like a gap here, and I feel like once I started adding the soil, it probably just would have started falling right down the back of it, and that hole covers up that gap, and I feel like it It's sturdy now, so maybe I just needed to add some tape. Also, I really hope you guys aren't yelling at me. I feel so dumb right now. I have been completely stooped by this plastic pole here, but also maybe I will tape the bottom to get it more stable too. Hold, look at it. Oh, and check this out. Oh, I don't know if it'll show, but this new one has some aerial root action happening. So it's about to start climbing the pole, and we're gonna get the big leaves on 2 vines. So now the other hard part is going to be adding soil into this, because that part always gets really, really messy. I don't ever fill it up all the way. I kind of just fill it up as much as I need. So I'll probably fill it to, yeah, probably like around here. I know you can't really see that, but it's not gonna be like too much more. She is growing pretty fast, but yeah, I think that'll be good, at least until the next leaf or 2. But yay, I'm so excited. Here we are. The Melanochrysum, the new leaf is like right at my torso, like the top of my torso area. So exciting! Oh my god, I can't believe my Melanochrysum is gonna be this tall soon. Hopefully, if I don't give it root rot or anything. I'm not trying to jinx myself. So I actually don't have as much chunk as I thought I was gonna have. So I'm gonna have to put more moss in here, but let's see how this goes. So I got my soil here and I got some moss here. I do have more moss too if I need it. But like I said, I'm not filling this whole thing up today because I don't need all of that. But now I'm just gonna slightly tilt it down and start filling her up. And I can't tell you how much the tape helped. This pole is so much more secure and sturdy. So there's a little tip for you. A tip. Like I even shared any tips in this video. Is more just like a Hot Mess Express. Hop along if you care to join. Hop along if you care to see me fail horribly. No, this wasn't a complete fail. Oh yeah, there we go. I can just hear all the pieces coming down. That happens every time I water her or move her. So yeah, that's the other thing. I will have these poles, the better poles, linked down below if you want to use them. Because the ones with the smaller squares are a lot better for soil. And soil poles have really been my favorite just because I've had the best results out of them. And if you don't know, I'm doing a whole experiment on growing plants on different types of mediums, soil poles, planks, moss poles. I will have that playlist down below if you want to check that out. If you're new here, I talk about it all the time. If you're not new, so sorry if you're tired of hearing it, but this has been a lot of fun. I still need to get the measuring tape, but oh my, whoa, oh, that just touched the ceiling. She is beautiful. I'm obsessed. This was a phenomenal idea. I still need to get a cash pot for her, a cash pot, because that will really help stabilize the fact that she's like kind of top heavy. But I'm actually really happy with the way that it came out, and I'm really happy that it's a lot more stable and secure now. I might need to put a little bit more tape here because there's still some soil coming out of like a little bit of a gap, but yeah, the tape helped a lot, and it's not so much like the Leaning Tower of Pisa anymore. Oh, maybe a little bit, but it's definitely not leaning as much as it was. It's time to propagate Mr. Reflector here. So I just wanted to talk about like really quick about Dieffenbachia propagation, because there's not much information, at least that I've seen out there about Dieffenbachia propagation. And I actually did a Dieffenbachia care video I don't even know, maybe like 3 years ago. And to this date is like my highest viewed video, which is crazy because I don't even do cure videos. I did that one specifically because I know there's just not much information about Dieffenbachia, and there's also a lot of misinformation. So first and foremost, yes, these plants are toxic, but it's because of the sap that's in there. But mind you, the sap and the I forgot the word, the crystals that is in the sap that makes it so poisonous is the same type of stuff that is in pothos and a lot of other different plants, but Dieffenbachias are just more sappy. So that's why it's like you have to be more careful, because that sap is a lot and it can be really irritating if it gets on your hands and itchy, and don't get it in your mouth, which is actually another thing about Dieffenbachias. We don't use their common name. If you didn't know this, they have a common name that we don't use because it has a racial background, and it's just, they don't have the best history. This plant, it actually has a very sad and a very dark history that's just completely unnecessary. It has ties to racism and abuse, and yeah, it's not good. So we say Dieffenbachia, use the scientific name. This is why I am so keen and I try my best to use scientific names and not common names, because one, a lot of common names are rooted in like a lot of racial slurs and a lot of just like bad things. Also, a lot of plants share the same common names. So scientific names are really important for a multitude of reasons, and that's like something that you'll always hear from me is, you know, I'm always just trying to use those scientific names and trying to pronounce them the best to my abilities, because they can get really difficult. But Dieffenbachia propagation. So this is actually one that I propagated. This is my camouflage. And as you can see, I chopped her here last summer. I did a whole video about that. She was just really tall because Dieffenbachias have a really thick cane that can get really tall, and they will just continue to grow up, and they naturally lose their lower leaves. So if your Dieffenbachia kind of looks like really leggy, it has like this long cane, that's totally normal. That is just how they grow. And as you can see, in return, after cutting her, she has put out this pup, which has grown massive. I never even realized how big it's gotten. And then it also put out this little babe here. So it's put out 2 pups, and then it sprouted this new entire arm. So she just looks absolutely amazing. I can't even tell y'all how much I love Dieffenbachia. It was one of my first plants. Actually, it was my first plant right before I started to get into plant collecting. I saw this. I saw the Marianne, I think maybe at like Home Depot, or maybe it was Kroger, and I got her because she was cute and I wanted plants in my house. And well, here we are today. They are kind of difficult too to care for because they do like light, you guys. They like light. These are almost like a highlight plant. I do not recommend them for low light places. I mean, I'm not saying that, like, you know, maybe there's like a one-off of somebody having a Dieffenbachia in a low light place, but they will thrive and get these big beautiful leaves in a brightly lit area. They also really like humidity. That is another really big key with them, light and humidity. They can tolerate an underwatering. If they get too underwater, they might drop some lower leaves, but they can handle an underwatering. But low humidity and low light, it's not it. So she does have prime real estate underneath one of my grow lights, but I mean, she's just so beautiful. I love these. My next Dieffenbachia that I want to get, and probably the only other one I'll keep in my collection because they get so massive, is the Tropic Snow. I feel like that's just like the staple Dieffenbachia, you know? They're so beautiful and their leaves get absolutely massive, and I've wanted that one for so long, and I've always hoped that I could find it locally, but I haven't been able to, so I think I'm gonna have to order it online. That's probably maybe gonna be my next plant purchase. And yeah, that'll be it for my Dieffenbachia collection. Unfortunately, I lost my Marianne just this past summer because I didn't bring her in time. That was my own fault. I was just being dumb. Anyway, so this is my reflector. She's a stick. She has seen better days, 1010%. but you know, it happens. She didn't acclimate that well from being outside to inside, and well, here we are. It's really sad. So I'm gonna propagate her. I'm really excited to see what she does. Hopefully we have a similar outcome like we did with the camouflage. And the cool thing about Dieffenbachia is that you don't need any nodes. That's right, you heard me right. These babies will propagate all along the stems, so you can cut it anywhere you want if you want to propagate yours and just stick it directly in soil. That's what I did with mine, and the top half that I cut did end up fully rooting. The top half will get pretty bare. She got down to 2 leaves, but she held on to those 2 leaves, and once she rooted in, she grew new leaves and was really beautiful. I did give her away because I couldn't keep 2 of them, but it was such an easy process. So I'm excited to do it again. This time though, I'm gonna keep her inside because when I cut the top half, I put both the top and the bottom half outside, which is like really perfect environment because I live in Georgia, and Georgia's super humid in the summertime. It's crazy. So my plant room doesn't get quite as humid. I mean, sometimes like here it's like 100% humidity. You can literally cut the water out in the air. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, okay, well, here we go. I've also seen like somebody talk about how having Dieffenbachia in your room is toxic because of the crystals that are in the sap, and somehow it's going to transpire into the air. And no, that's not true. Like, I know NASA came out with that false study. Okay, it wasn't a false study, but like we all know at this point, right, that study they did in like the 70s and the 80s is very flawed. It was in a very enclosed environment and like really perfect conditions. But yeah, plants don't affect the air that we breathe, at least in our household conditions. Even as many plants as I have, it doesn't purify my air. It's not going to like toxify my air either, if that's a thing. But yeah, you can keep Dieffenbachia in your house and you're not gonna die from breathing in the air. So there's that. I have my gloves on because like I said, these gals are pretty sappy and I have really sensitive skin. I have shears that I haven't cleaned in forever, in a pot that I haven't cleaned. I don't clean my pots. Unpopular opinion, probably. So I'm probably going to cut her. That's the decision. I guess maybe like right about here. I think that's good. That's like almost in half. All right, there we go. And you can actually see all of the juice. It's slowly going to start accumulating. I guess as it calluses over, sometimes they will get a little drippy too. It just depends, I guess, on the thickness. I'm not sure what it depends on. But yeah, oh yeah, you can see it here too. It's even starting to turn white. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty dark and cloudy outside, but yeah, it's really cool to see. And I am going to let this callus over. Usually I don't do that with cuttings, but because this is such a thick stem, I'm going to do that. And I like to just do that with thicker stems. Like if I have like a really girthy monstera, or I don't know, like a really thick philodendron or something, any sort of like thicker stem, I will let callus over for a few hours. So I guess I will be back. So here we are, 2 days later. These pieces have fully calloused over. You can notice a big difference in their appearance. It's way less sappy. And I really wonder if those little like white stuff is the crystals like dried up. Whoop, I dropped it. But as I mentioned earlier, I am just going to soil prop this. So I have a clear container here just so I can monitor the roots, and clear pots are just really good at monitoring when your plant needs to be watered as well. And I'm just gonna stick it like halfway in the pot and then top it off with some more soil so it has a lot of stem to work with. So there we go. I'm gonna stick both of these underneath my Vivo Sun Grow Light, which is the brightest grow light that I have. That's going to be more than enough light for them, and hopefully, you know, they will bounce back really beautifully and grow some really big, beautiful leaves. I think the reflector has such gorgeous foliage. When they get those new leaves, it has like this vine down the middle that looks like it's a highlighter. Like, it is just so bright, and so it almost glows. It looks like it's glowing. It's really amazing, and one of my favorite things about the reflector, it's just such a wonderful Dieffenbachia. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up this tours video here. I hope you all enjoyed it, and thanks so much for following me along while I made a 5-foot Melanochrysum pole and propagated my Dieffenbachia. And if you made it this far and you haven't already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, help propagate this community with me. I would absolutely love to have you, and as always, I hope you're all staying safe, staying happy and healthy, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.